Hello, David Paul here. I am on my way to the Philippines and I'll be posting all of these videos after I get back. I have a reason for that. I don't want anybody knowing that I'm away, so they can come and raid my little home in the UK. So they'll all come in one big flush when I get back. So anyway, here I am. I'm at the Premier Inn Hotel and I've just checked out, ready to go to Heathrow Airport, where I've got to wait for like 7 hours before my flight. So I'm taking the opportunity to film this place. It's an amazing place. Formulaic, yes, but clever. This is the biggest Premier Inn I've ever stayed in. It's huge, and it's a good example of what you call pavilion construction, something I really like. And I may get into this. The issue with buildings is that it would be ideal if you could build a small building and then extend it and so on. So that comes down to the idea of either enlarging one singular object, the ability to do that, like a snail does, or the ability to put on modular bits to extend it. And shapes that can be extended in single pieces are equilateral triangles, squares, and hexagons. And if you start doing anything after that, you have to start having different shapes. But if you just stick to the singular shapes, like for example, you can have octagons and squares combined together. But if you just want to stick to single shapes, which are easily replicated and prefabricated and so on, then you should be using one of those threes: equilateral triangles, squares, or hexagons. Now what this is, strictly speaking, it's not open to the sides, so the sides, there are not external windows there, just the external window at the far end. However, it is like what you call pavilion construction. Now, if you have a pavilion style house, what you've done there is you can do the tessellation business, but you're just doing it in one direction. And in fact, you can actually extend a building. You can decide how wide you want it and then just extend it. You find, oh, I wish this room was 6 inches longer or something. You could do that and you could just move off in one direction, especially with materials like wood construction. I've come across a brilliant idea of using a wood called pavilion, which is rated as durable, certainly internally durable within buildings. It's very soft, but I have a way of hardening the surface. So I'm getting into growing pavilion. So anyway, here we are. We have this pavilion style construction. Now you can imagine, if you lived in a house like this, you could have an enormous living room or bedroom or whatever, and you could partition the construction as you felt like at any one moment. So there's a Filipino family sitting there, and the Filipino style of living is to just kind of sleep anywhere. They'll sleep in a lounge, they'll sleep anywhere you can sleep comfortably. So they utilize the entire house as a sleeping area. And it would only be the mother and the father who probably had a separate bedroom or needed a separate bedroom. So off the sides of this inverted commas pavilion, you've got all these utilities that they've added on here, and the restaurant which is inside there, so you can extend sideways as well. But I wouldn't do that because I'd be looking for, you know, the prospect, as they say, you know, of the views, and the minute you do that, you've lost them. This is the problem with large buildings, is you lose the views outward. So another way is to go upwards, and I'm exploring that in the Philippines in the project I'm doing there on Talikod Island. And I hope to get down there and do some videos on that as well. So as we move through, you see, you can create a sort of living room area. And I measured this last night. These chairs are about 3 feet long, 3 feet, 3 feet, there's 6, and about 4 in between, and you can have an intimate gathering of people just chatting to each other, and that's it. I thought that family was Filipino, they're not. In closer inspection I can see that they're not. So anyway, so you've got that little area, and then because there are no limits, it's not a bound space. If you don't like it, you can move the chairs, and there could be partition walls in here that could slide and make bedrooms which were bigger and smaller. And during the day, during the night, the living room could be made to virtually disappear. Now, the idea of sliding partitions is a thing I call space donation. So each room donates its space to the other room. So in the daytime, you're sitting in a really big living room, and at the night time you don't need the big living room, you need a bigger bedroom so you can slide the partitions. Why is this important to a guy who's got loads of land and stuff like that? Well, because I may be interested in doing it with boats, and space is at a premium in a boat. But if you think about it, the objects in the boat don't really need a lot of space, they're all packed in small. It's the people that want some space to move around in and breathe in. So having a great big living room on a boat would be a tremendous luxury. And then you could have the cabins expand at the night time. So that's how you would do that. And if I ever get enough life to do this, well, basically if I get my visa in Portugal and I'm able to start constructing things there and get more land to build stuff, I'll be able to make these things. I can do lots of projects, but I can't do them all in one lump. So things just grow organically. But unfortunately, you need to be in one place to do this. I'm having to cut the expenditure that's going out on my life in terms of minimizing the amount of travel, basically. The expense I've got in life, I don't have any bills other than food, so I feed myself all around the world wherever I am. I have to eat food, but what I don't need is bills, and I don't have them. So the bills in my life are moving from place to place. So for example, I was going to go and try and get a visitation visa, a travel visa for my girlfriend so she could join me in Portugal in the summer. But that's all turning out to be very complicated, so we may not do that and simply have more visits of me to the Philippines, so that will be less. It's less complicated for me to move around because I don't need all the visas that she would need to do everything she needs to do. Filipinos are much more restricted on a Filipino passport, but on a British passport you don't need the visas, visa free. So that's it. So the Premier Inn at Heathrow, an overview. See you later. Jesus be with you.